right, we have Kevin Miller here. Kevin lives here in Austin, Texas. So, Kevin, thank you for sitting down with me and answering a few questions.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us your job and your age.
I am an inbound sales representative for AAA, and I am 25 years old.
All right, so the first thing I want to do is just kind of set the scene. Picture you're 60 years old. You are nearing retirement age. You're really excited about starting retirement. You've been working for decades and decades. But you come to realize you don't have the money to live for the estimated retirement time frame, about 20 years. So you might not have the opportunity to retire at this point or in the next couple of years. In 2016, today, you had the opportunity to start planning for retirement and put yourself in a good position, but you opted out of it, and now you are at the place that you're at. Do you think you will end up in that type of situation, or how do you feel about that scene and the options that you have to make sure you don't end up in that position when you're 60 or so?
It's funny you bring that up. My stepmom just asked me the same thing. So she's a CPA, and I asked her a question on my 401k with AAA, and she answered it, but then asked, what else am I doing for retirement? And I hadn't really thought about it at the time, so she sat down with me and filled me in on the different retirement options, because that sounds like what I would have for retirement or not have is really scary. So I listened really close, and we talked about it for a little over an hour, and kind of just uncovered how you get retirement started, the different types of retirement accounts that you can use. And so she told me about IRAs. It's good that my work has a 401k. She told me about matching contributions and how the 401k works and stuff like that. So,
Good.
yeah, it was good that she, being a CPA, had knowledge to share. That was really helpful, and it made it kind of feel a little less daunting than it could have been,
Okay.
or that it sounded initially, because I just graduated a little over a year ago, a year and a half ago. And I have a credit card that's maxed out at $2,000, and I'm just making $115 payments. Like, that's all I can do. I have my own apartment, I pay rent and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I told her. Like, I can't think about retirement right now. But what she did was talk about how, when I get my credit card paid down, then shifting the expense to paying myself in an IRA.
Okay. So, would you say that you would feel more comfortable working with your stepmom than with a company that's focused on your full financial situation? Is it easier to plan with your stepmom than a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I trust her. I never knew my birth mom, so she's been my mom. And, I know she's looking out for my best interests. And being a CPA, I know that she knows all about this stuff. So, I would rather work with her than work with a company that I don't know if they just are selling me stuff to sell me stuff. If they care about me and I can't afford to pay anybody any fees. So she's free. She has my best interests at heart and she knows what she's talking about. I can't, that seems like the best scenario for me. So I'm just going to be working with her.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying, that you're more comfortable with her for the whole retirement plan. But you mentioned a credit card that you're working on paying down. Have you guys sat down and done a full evaluation of your or your financial situation at this time, including a budget to help you not only pay down your credit card, but also plan for retirement and save some money on your own, and a way to build up your savings, a way to pay down your credit card and repair your credit history if necessary? Have you kind of gone over the full scope of it?
She asked me what my expenses were, but then we kind of got talking back to retirement and making that fit. So we didn't really talk about what my current, kind of solving my current financial needs at this time. So no, I would say there's still, I still need to think about my, other financial picture. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to get at whether or not a financial planning business that's fee-based, that's geared toward young professionals, would be something that you'd be interested in. I understand that your budget may be tight at this time, but to make sure that you're getting the most from your money and not just focusing on retirement, but focusing on all of it and how it all comes together. If that would be something that you'd be interested in, even though you already have that guidance, I think it's important to just get that full picture and plan every aspect of your financial situation and not just one, so that others kind of fall by the wayside.
Yeah, thinking back to the conversation, it was just when you get your credit card paid off. So it's up to me right now on my own of making that happen. So if you can help me with getting that paid off, then that would be great. Like, do I make double payments? Do I make triple payments? What else can I do? I have maybe, I heard a balance transfer or debt consolidation. I see commercials, I work from home and I have the TV in the background and it's debt consolidation and things like that. So, I'm kind of coming up with my own answers on that one. But once I get there, she drew out a plan,
Okay.
going forward. But again, I should have asked her, like, hey, how do you, from where I am right now to where I might be in a year, to start putting aside. So
Right. So it's good for me to hear that even though the need for retirement planning isn't really there for you, you already have a family resource that you trust and would rather work with, since it's a free service, and that I'm glad to hear that even though that need isn't there, there are other things that we would be able to help you with when it comes to your full financial situation, that we could still assist you with getting your savings plan in place and repairing your credit and other things that are really important when it comes to your financial health, I suppose. So I really appreciate your feedback with that. Do you have any final thoughts on what you think about my plan to start a financial planning business that focuses on millennials and young professionals? Any advice from an outsider perspective?
I would say I know a lot of friends who are in a similar position, but they have student loans. and things like that, where it's so worrisome. It takes up all your thought, is just in the now. Like, what do I do in the now? I have a $430 student loan payment. You know, I've got credit cards. I've got a car payment. I've got all this stuff. Like, what do I do? And nobody seems to be giving our generation the answers. No one seems to. It's like the older generations are just worried about getting richer, and
Yeah.
they're leaving us behind.
That's a good point. That's kind of where this idea stems from, is just our generation kind of being thrown out into the real world without ever being taught the basics of financial planning, even down to knowing how to do your own taxes or pay a credit card so that you're not accruing interest, and just the basics that were never taught in school. So I think there's definitely a need there. There may be boundaries along the way of who needs certain services, but I agree with you that there's definitely a gap in information for our generation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I think you gave a lot of good insight into where the need lies, but thank you again.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Melanie Radlick here. Melanie is a family friend of mine, and thank you for answering some of my questions, Melanie. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Hannah. How are you today?
I'm doing well. All right, so Melanie, tell us your age and where you live and your current occupation.
I am 33, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I run a screen printing business. We do T-shirts and sweatshirts and hats and jackets.
All right.
Little bit of everything, but mostly garments.
Awesome. So when did you start your screen printing business? You said you're 33. So how old were you when you started this business?
It was right after college. I was trying to make some extra money, and I just started doing little jobs for people in my garage, and it blossomed from there to a big old warehouse, and I've been doing it now for about 8 years.
Okay.
Obviously not with the warehouse, because that took me some time to get there.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of set the scene for you of what we could potentially be working with. So picture you're 60 years old, going on 61, you're nearing retirement age, and you're really excited about retiring. You've been working very hard for many years. So you sit down with a financial professional and they pretty much tell you you're not going to be able to retire because you won't be able to pay your day-to-day expenses for the estimated 20 years of retirement. You just don't have the funds available to be able to do that. You didn't expect this answer. You kind of assumed with Social Security or some kind of savings that you have for yourself that you would be able to retire at this age. It's just an assumption that you had made. How do you feel about this situation, and how are you avoiding ending up in this position?
Oh my, Hannah. I hope I am not in that position, because I am working my butt off to not be in that position.
Okay.
I live very simply,
Okay.
and I live below my means, and I always pay myself first. I have an IRA, and I always contribute to that.
Okay.
I also keep a good amount of cash for emergencies. You know, I'm in my own business, and nobody's going to give me money unless I'm working. If something happens to me, I've got to have that cash available to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So Now, if I got to 60 and they were to tell me I couldn't retire in a comfortable manner, I think I'd cry.
Okay.
I really don't know how I would handle that except work harder and save more
Okay.
and cut expenses.
All right.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So, I guess the next question would be, so you said you have an IRA and you're kind of saving money on your own, but do you have an actual plan in place of what you need to have each year saved up and the total that you need to have by the time you reach retirement age? And what are your thoughts
fact,
on someone helping you with that?
I do have an idea because I use a lot of the tools that you can find on the internet that help you calculate the total assets you need in a savings or an IRA or bonds or what have you. So I use that calculator, and I have found using those that they're telling me about $1.5 million, and it's a 4% pay down over the course of my retirement years. Now, I particularly don't want to use my the actual assets. I'd rather live off of the interest, and that's why maybe this figure's a little bit higher than other people might get, but I just feel like, you just don't know how long you're going to live, so you need to prepare for that. And there's always those emergencies, and people get sick, and there's just so many things to life that just are unknown. So I go big and hope for the best.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. All right. So it actually sounds like you have a really good idea of what you will need for retirement. It's actually pretty impressive. So would you be interested in meeting with anyone to kind of go over the plan that you currently have? Because my idea for my business is starting a financial planning business that focuses on young professionals, so between the ages of 20 to maybe 35, which you fall in that range, to make sure that they understand kind of everything that we've already talked about, and not only planning for retirement, but outside that boundary as well, looking into credit and making sure that you're building good credit and saving for those emergencies, again, not just for retirement, and that you kind of are able to meet all of your financial goals that you have. So is that something that you would be interested in, or what are your thoughts on taking me up on that offer to use my service as a financial planner?
Hannah, my theory is more eyes on things. The more information you get, the better off you are. So I never turn down help, and I never turn away a thought that might actually help me. So yes, of course, I would love someone to look at the big picture of what I'm doing and where I'm going, and tell me, hey, you look like you might need to move this or take a turn on that. I think everyone should always be open-minded to whatever information comes their way, because you just never know. Like I said, fresh eyes looking at things could see things that just you're blinded to because you've been looking at it so long. Yes, absolutely. I think it's always good to involve and get as much information as you possibly can.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that you would be interested in it, even though you already have such a, in-depth plan in place for yourself. I'm just wondering, where did you get the information that you have? You seem to know a lot about what it takes to retire and about different retirement accounts and things like that. So you mentioned the internet, but what would you say your main resources are for all the information you already have about it?
My main resources is going to be just reading everything I get my hands on that may help me. But I think also just you get to know people that are successful and have made a good choice in their life, and you get to figure out how they did that, and that's really been a very good way for me. I've got parents that were smart with their money and could help lead me in right directions. I think there's a multitude of sources as long as people seek them out. But with my online brokerage account, there is just a plethora of information. I can sit at my computer and read. So, between that and just, Googling things when you have a question, when something pops into your head and you don't know anything about it, Google it.
Okay.
It's amazing what you can learn nowadays just from getting on a computer and talking to people. I still say talking to people that have done it and have been successful. One of the things that recently came up was the fact that Social Security may not be around when I'm 60. So, and the Social Security is so hard to understand, even for those people. My parents are getting ready to do this, and they go to seminars, and it's just so confusing. So, you just need to talk to people and do a lot of listening. That's my theory. Do more listening than talking.
Okay. All right. Well, I can honestly say, Melanie, that I'm impressed with how much you know about retirement and what it takes, and just all the resources that are out there. So I really appreciate talking with you. I think you gave good insight into your situation and kind of the help you might be looking to get from a financial planning business. But so thank you for letting me ask you a few questions. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Hannah. It was great to talk to you, and I wish you the best in this because I think you'll be really good.
Thank you. Okay, so I have Valentina Osorio here. She is a friend of mine from the University of Florida. So hi, Valentina. Thank you for letting me interview you and ask you a few questions about my business and whether or not you think it would be something that would interest you.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so first tell us your age and your occupation or status at this time.
I am 22 years old, and I am currently working as a patient care assistant for a private client, and that is about 40 hours a week.
Awesome. All right, so the first thing I want to do is kind of like set the scene in the future. You are 60 years old, turning 61, you're nearing retirement age, and you go into a financial professional and you kind of want them to tell you what your retirement will look like. And they tell you you're not going to be able to retire at this time. You don't have enough funds saved up to maintain your standard of living. The estimated retirement is 20 years, and you just don't have enough to last that long. So you're basically told you have to continue working when you've been working for decades and you're really looking forward to this time in your life. So what would you say you're doing to prevent ending up in a situation like that at this time in your life? Or how do you feel about planning for that time of your life now?
Oh, gosh. Well, to be honest, I don't think that I have been. I'm not at the moment really doing anything to prepare for retirement or that point in my life.
Okay.
I think right now I've just been focusing on, school and kind of just getting started, I guess, with a career that hopefully I'll be able to continue with until retirement.
Okay. What would you say, like, I understand you're just finishing up school now and getting into your first career, so maybe in a few years, is that a time frame while you're still a young professional that you would begin planning for retirement and saving, or what are your thoughts on when is the right time to start saving for retirement?
I would say maybe by my 30s, I would hope.
Okay.
Again, I'd hope that by that time I was kind of more settled in a career, lifelong career, and I'd like to, oh gosh, probably pay off like student loans and take care of a lot of that stuff, I guess, would maybe be my first priority before really thinking about some sort of like retirement kind of planning.
Okay. So if I were to sit down with you and be able to explain the benefits of exponential growth that you would get if you started at a young age, is this a service that you think would be valuable to you? Would you consider paying money for that type of service at this point in your life or even in the next couple of years? Or what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I do think, it probably would be something beneficial and useful. But I think for me personally, I am, again, just kind of more so focused on, I think first, doing away with, my student loans and maybe settling in a place of my own or something like that. I think is something that is kind of a financial priority for me. But I don't know, maybe within 10, 15 years, I guess I would probably then be willing to pay for a service, some financial service and recommendations for retirement planning.
Okay, I understand. Then moving on from retirement, so I understand that that's not something that you personally think is a priority at this time in your life, but what about the rest of your financial situation? So a lot of our generation struggles with budgeting and saving money for emergencies or even for events that you want to save for, and building credit or repairing credit history, even knowing how to make the most out of doing your taxes and deductibles and things like that. So with that being said, do you think that sitting down with a professional, a fee-based financial planning business that focuses on young professionals to go over the rest of your financial situation would be something that would interest you? So the things that kind of affect you more at this stage of life. What are your thoughts on that type of financial guidance at this point, or even in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So I guess I'll go with at this point. Again, I think, a big thing for me, just at the age of 22 is I'm not so, I don't have this like stable job. I do want to continue and go back to school. So, I just feel like it would maybe be most beneficial. I kind of would get the most out of all those resources, more so once I was kind of set in a career with a stable job, or just, with something that I knew I could easily find a stable job, a long-term job, with a more manageable income, I think would be probably at the point that I would find, those type of financial services resources most useful for me. I do think, within hopefully 10 years or so, I think something like that, or hopefully less even, those resources would be beneficial.
Okay, awesome. And then with that, so even for budgeting and building your credit and things like that, you kind of see that as something that you can tackle on your own for the next 10 years or so. What resources do you think you would use to take care of those things and make sure you have it under control on your own? So if you don't seek out professional guidance until your 30s, do you plan on using just the internet, or what kind of resources would you plan on using just to figure those things out, the basics of those things, or do you already know for the next 10 years, or just while you're in that in-between stage before you settle into a career?
So I guess again, I haven't thought too much into it, but typically what I have been doing to kind of budget myself, I just graduated recently. I'm taking a year off between going back to school, so throughout this year, I will be and have been kind of managing my own budget, paying for rent, utilities, food, gas, basically everything on my own. So and kind of what I've been doing is I have kind of a savings, trying to build savings at the same time for things, just events or emergencies like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But kind of my useful tool is also, I've actually used just like an Excel spreadsheet to kind of just help me kind of gauge how much money I can kind of allocate to certain things, what I have to set aside for rent and what I can budget for food, gas, other activities, or just personal spending. And I probably check my bank account at least like 3 times a day because I'm very OCD about that. And then I do, I have a credit card too, which sometimes makes things a little bit easier in between paychecks, or just if something does come up.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've honestly just been kind of keeping close watch of my finances myself, trying to budget, writing things down, and just kind of giving myself a plan like per month, pretty standard plan with the current job I have and whatever income I have.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for giving me another perspective and opinion on handling finances while we're in our 20s. I appreciate you kind of letting me dive into your personal financial situation a little bit and giving me an idea of how you budget and how you do everything. So I appreciate it. And
Yeah, thank you so much. It was, it's definitely something to think about. The kind of plans and financial help that you are offering, I think, is very important. Definitely something to consider.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've had a lot of different responses from it, a lot of different opinions, so it's been a really good experience. But all right, thank you, Valentina.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, hi, Taylor. Thank you for letting me ask you a few questions for my interview. This is Taylor Moretti. She's a family friend. And so, Taylor, tell us your age and your occupation.
I am 27 and I'm a first grade teacher.
Okay. So first thing, I'm just going to set the scene of what the future could possibly look like. So say you're 60 years old, going on 61, you're nearing retirement age, and you go in and sit with a financial professional and they tell you that you're not in the right position to be able to retire, that it's not really an option at this time. For the estimated 20 years of retirement, you just don't have enough funds available to maintain your standard of living. you're really depressed by this. You have learned that you now have to continue working. What are your thoughts on that, and what are you kind of doing to guarantee that you won't end up in this position?
So that would be really disappointing if I was ready to retire and I was told that I couldn't. As of now, I think that I'm setting myself up well. I have retirement through the district, as well as an outside party that works with the district to, supplement the district retirement system. And I am personally, I've been pretty good at saving and investing. I had a good support from my parents who know quite a bit about financial everything. And they kind of taught me, they set me up from a young age to save. Like, I wasn't given any money or earned any money that I wasn't required to give half of and put it in a savings. So I've been taught from a young age to save and be careful with my money.
Okay, so my next point would be the fact that the business I'm looking to start would be a financial planning business focused on millennials, young professionals, and I would emphasize the importance of saving for retirement early and kind of make a plan based on your income and your financial situation, the debt that you owe, all of that, and look at every aspect and make sure that you're getting the most out of your money, and that when you do get to retirement age, it's not something you'll have to worry about instead of look forward to. So would this be a service that you would find useful, that you would consider paying money for?
I think if I were in a position where I wasn't confident in my money situation and my retirement situation, I think that I would, because it would be scary to know that you will eventually run out of money if you wanted to hold your current standard of living.
Right. So you mentioned that your parents are who you go to for guidance. Would you ever consider straying away from that and getting professional help from a company like this? Or are your parents gonna stay your go-to resource for financial guidance?
Well, I'd like to say they'd be here forever, but that's not true. Until
really
they
just,
weren't.
just when you're in your young professional stage, I guess.
Well, yeah, at this point, I think that I would trust in them. They owned a business of their own. They've done very well for themselves as far as personal and their business end of it. And I would trust what they said as far as following their directions for me personally, with finances and retirement.
Okay. So you just brought up a good point, that not only planning for retirement, but in other aspects of your financial situation. So a lot of people that I've spoke with have someone that's helping them with retirement or with a certain aspect of their finances that maybe is something that they struggle with, but not necessarily getting the full picture of everything. So my next question would be, are your parents helping you just plan for retirement and have that figured out, or are they sitting down with you and going over every aspect of your financial situation, including where you stand with your credit, your budget, and how you're saving for emergencies or family events, and in addition, retirement, so that you have the full scope of your financial health, in a sense?
My parents have been very good in all aspects, I would say, personal and saving for a house and making smart choices. They've helped me a little with investing, even though
Oh,
I'm
wow.
hesitant with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do help with my credit. My mom, when I first moved off to college, she got me a credit card, but she was on it
Okay.
to help me out, and then I had to pay her, and slowly it was transferred over to just me. But she, always taught me the things that ding your credit and the things that people, when you need your credit, are going to be looking for. So I think that compared to a lot of others my age, I know a lot more and I've been smarter with my finances, especially when it comes to credit and credit scores and just responsibility, I think, with finances.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've been very lucky compared to a lot of young people in terms of having guidance early on so that you don't make a lot of the common mistakes when it comes to credit and things like that. So that gives an interesting perspective for my business idea, just knowing where different young professionals are coming from in terms of the amount of knowledge they have and financial literacy and things like that. So that's awesome. My last question, just to get kind of a full idea of your thoughts on paying a professional to help you with your finances. So you were saying that if your parents weren't around, that would be a time where you might seek out financial help. So what type of financial planning do you think that you would use or find beneficial if you didn't have your parents as a resource later in life, or maybe not in your young professional stage?
So if I didn't have my parents just to be as helpful as they have been since the beginning of my own personal finances, I definitely think I would have sought help somewhere because especially with the retirement and the investing, I mean there's a lot that I learned, and even when I was getting my retirement through the district and stuff, I would call because I didn't know, like I don't know what the benefits and the negatives would be to different kinds of retirements and different kinds of like the investment plan versus the pension plan and all that. I mean, I had no clue. So I would definitely have needed outside help if I didn't have my parents. And I know just speaking with others close to me, family and friends, they don't know. Even some that are older than I am, they didn't have that assistance. They didn't have the help or the knowledge. And some of them have made bad decisions. Some of them are in debt, and some of them just still don't know.
Okay.
So I definitely think that the investment part and the planning for later on in life would have been what I sought help for because I mean, I think saving your money is kind of basic, but learning the things that younger people don't typically pay attention to
Okay.
are what I would have wanted help with.
Right. The things to do with the money that you save that will help you out in the future.
Right. Yeah, and just the basic idea of thinking ahead. Like I think so many people, especially in my age, they just think like now, oh, I've got the money now where I can put it on credit now. But then what happens down the road when this keeps adding up and then I can't and then I have interest to pay and
Right.
it's just like a domino effect.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate your insight on this. I think it'll help me out when I get a full picture of what I'm looking at for all the different age groups and different needs. So, thank you very much, Taylor.
No problem. Thanks for calling.
Bye. Okay, I have Helen Myers here. She lives here in Austin, Texas with me and works in the same company that I do. So thank you, Helen, for talking with me. I just need to ask you a few questions and kind of get an idea of your thoughts on saving for retirement.
Hi, Hannah.
All right, so first off, I just want to kind of tell you a scenario. So picture you're 60 years old, going on 61, almost at retirement age, and you're very excited about it. You've been working for decades, and you're ready to stop and enjoy life and just live slower. And you go to meet with a financial professional, and they tell you you don't have that option because you don't have enough saved. You won't be able to pay for your day-to-day expenses for the 20 years that they estimate you would be retired for. You're very depressed by this. You realize you have no choice but to continue working. And you know that if you had considered this back in your 20s, then maybe you wouldn't be in this position. So what are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on saving for retirement right now?
I don't know. I'm too young to really think about this. Wow. I don't know. I guess I would have to take their advice and start saving.
What is your plan right now? What are you currently doing to save for retirement?
Really nothing. Because I don't make that much, and I'm just, I'm still young and want to have fun, and I don't know, don't feel like saving is in my budget.
Okay. I guess my next question would be, when do you think saving for retirement becomes a priority? Like, what point in your life do you think it'll become a priority for you?
I think maybe when I have kids, because I want to be able to send them to college, and I suppose, when I get closer to retirement, I probably need to think about that, I guess, a little more seriously.
Okay. All right. So I'm getting the message that currently you don't think it's important to do in your 20s. It's more of a priority when you're settled down with a family and saving for them as well. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Well, I guess so, but it's more like I don't have the money. I don't make that much. So if I started to put a bunch away, then I, would be able to go and do a lot of the things that I like to do right now. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So the idea that I've had for a business plan was to start a financial planning business that focuses on our generation, so millennials, young professionals, because I think there are a lot of individuals out there like you that don't think their 20s are a time to save for retirement. I've even met a few that have met with professionals who say it's not worth it to start in your 20s, that it's something that can be done later on in life. So what I want to do is kind of start a business that focuses on this group of people and explain the benefits of planning for retirement early. I want to emphasize the stress that middle-aged Americans feel when they are near retirement age and they haven't considered how much they'll actually need to have saved up in order to maintain their standard of living. So that's kind of the service that I'm thinking about, and not only saving for retirement, but planning your full financial situation. You're building your credit or repairing it if need be, building a personal savings for emergency purposes or even for a specific purpose. So kind of, what do you think about that type of service?
Well, that would be great, but I don't know if I could even find the money to start a savings. I guess that's where somebody would have to kind of help me get a budget, and maybe do it, based on a budget. As long as I could still, enjoy, the things I like to do. I guess it would be, good and proactive for me to start thinking, I guess, along those lines. But like I said, it's, I don't make much money, so I don't know. By the time I pay health insurance and car insurance and rent and, doesn't leave me much, so.
Okay. All right, Helen, yeah, I definitely understand the struggle of finding the extra money in your paycheck to put aside after all the bills are paid. I'm in the same boat there, but still the need to plan what you do have, because either way there needs to be a plan for the future. I guess, is it interesting at all to you or attractive at all to you to have someone just kind of look over your full situation and give you an idea of where you could maybe spend less, or put aside money that might be sitting in a checking account instead of being invested, or even in a savings account that might earn some interest or something like that. But we have that side of this business as well, on top of planning for retirement and learning about the different types of accounts and different matching plans from your job, or all the different opportunities for retirement planning.
I don't know. I just don't feel like I have the money. It's just I don't know why do it when I don't have the money. It's kind of futile to plan for retirement when there just isn't the money. So I'm gonna say no. It's not worth meeting with somebody that would
Okay.
look at that. So.
Okay. What about the other planning aspects of the business? Working on your credit or saving your own funds? I know you're saying that there's not the money there, but is that something that would be interesting to you, or just none of it at all? You want to leave that all until you're older?
Well, I guess, I need to always, look at my credit because, yeah, that's really important. So I guess if I could learn how to better manage my credit rating and all that, that would be cool.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like I've kind of gotten into your personal workings of your finances, so I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me about all of this and let me kind of invade your privacy when it comes to this kind of stuff. It gives me really good insight into the different opinions of our generation and where people stand in terms of planning for retirement or not at this time. Like I said, I've heard a lot of different opinions on the matter and reasons behind their decisions. So I think this has been a really good conversation, kind of given me a different perspective.
Well, good. Okay.
All right. Well, Thank you for speaking with me, and I will speak with you
You're
soon.
welcome.
Bye.